Wild Survivors finally seeing the love it deserves. Hey guys, Otak here, back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the new cards revealed for Nouvelles and the Vanquish Soul cards for the Duelist Advance core set that just came out in the OCG or is about to come out. Yeah, I'm a little behind on this. This stuff was like revealed like a week ago, but I don't have the best schedule when it comes to being able to record this stuff, so better late than never. Before we do jump on into the cards though, I do want to remind you all that I am currently doing a Malice Core giveaway that ends on May 1st. And if you would like to have an opportunity to win the Malice Core, then all you have to do is leave a like on this video, be subscribed to the channel, and answer the 3 questions at the end of this video. And to add on top of that, it's not mandatory, but if you would like to join my community Discord and also follow me over on Twitch, it is greatly appreciated. And to further support the channel, consider using my TCG affiliate link. All links will be in the description down below. Alright, so we do have a handful of cards to talk about. We are going to start with the Vanquish Soul cards and the Nouvelles cards, but we will also talk about the Lunalight cards. I'm not overly familiar with Lunalight and the strategy it's trying to perform, so I'm not going to be able to give a good consensus on how good the cards are, but I am familiar with Vanquish Soul, and I'm very familiar with Nouvelles because at one point I was playing the deck. First card is a level 5 Earth monster, which is good because Vanquish Soul was in dire need of like good Earth monsters. Pantera is like okay, but it is Vanquish Soul Holy Sue. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn, and cannot activate more than one in the same chain. During the main phase, quick effect, you can reveal one Vanquish Soul monster in your hand, special summon this card from your hand. Okay, that's good right out the gate. And then the second effect is just the typical reveal the attributes to apply one of the effects. So if you reveal an Earth and a Dark, you take control of one monster your opponent controls with the lowest attack, and you choose if it's tied until the end phase. And Fire and Dark, special summon one non-psychic Vanquish Soul monster. So just prevents it from special summoning itself from the deck, which is fine because none of the others are psychic anyway, so this is fine. Right out the gate, I see this being another one of, because it's not really a starter, rather an extender, but also it's an Earth attribute, which means you're able to successfully get like Caesar off more viably, and also it's just another Earth to reveal for the trap card. So again, I see this kind of being like a one of. It's more of an extension rather than actual starters. Rosin and like Stake Your Soul are still like the go-to starters, which is unfortunate because Stake Your Soul is, at least until now, not searchable. We'll see with the further cards we talk about here. Next, Vanquish Soul is getting an Xyz monster, a rank 4 Vanquish Soul Rocks. So there's not a lot of level 4s in the deck. Like Rosin and Pantera and Madlove are like the ones that come to mind, but you're not really wanting to overlay them. And I do believe this actually has a way to like cheat it out essentially, but 2 level 4 Vanquish Soul monsters, so it's not generic. Once per turn, if a Vanquish Soul monster battled this turn, you can also Xyz summon Vanquish Soul Rocks using one Vanquish Soul monster or one Rock of the Vanquisher you control. And then for the effect, it gains the following effects based on the attributes that are attached to it, so it more benefits you to have like multiple pieces on here rather than just like the Rock or the Vanquish Soul monster. But all monsters your opponent controls loses 800 attack if there's a Dark under it. Vanquish Soul monsters you control gain 1000 attack if there's a Fire under it, and you can detach one material from this card, destroy one card your opponent controls if there's an Earth under it. That's not a quick effect. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of this. Based on what I know of like Vanquish Soul, they definitely rely on like board presence and being able to bounce around and whatnot, and this kind of messes with a lot of that. Like, sure, this gets Rock off the board, but at the end of the day, it also requires you to have successfully battled, which is like Zeus Turbo. So like I could see a scenario where this causes you to be able to like bridge into Zeus or something, but overall, like, this is not that great because it doesn't apply any sort of board presence. Like, yeah, if you have a Dark and a Fire, so Madlove and Rosin attached to it, then you gain 1000 and they're losing 800, so it's like a better Clockwork Knight kind of in that scenario where like they're technically losing 1800 because they're less than you already. But I don't know, this doesn't seem that great to me. I could see people toying with it because maybe I'm just not looking at it from the right angle, but if they do play this, it's probably a one of, just to try and like push for game and also get the Rock off the board. And then for the final card, Vanquish Soul Star. They finally have a field spell, which makes sense seeing as the entire deck revolves around Mortal Kombat essentially, so it's fitting that they're like kind of getting like a field spell like an arena essentially. But you can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name once per turn. You can target one Vanquish Soul monster you control, add a Vanquish Soul monster with a different attribute from deck to hand. Love that effect. We'll talk about that in a moment. Second effect is if a Vanquish Soul monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can reveal one Vanquish Soul monster from your hand instead. And then the third effect is during your end phase, if you control 2 or more Vanquish Soul monsters, you can set one Vanquish Soul spell or trap from the deck. I love this. So first off, it's a Vanquish Soul card, which means it can be searched off of Mad Love, which means Mad Love has like better targets to be searching rather than like Continue or the Dust Devil or the Snow Devil. Like it has an actual card you're going to want to be searching off of it. But also on top of that, it fixes the problem that Vanquish Soul has always kind of had, and that is not having either all of or the exact attributes you need to be searching. Like you are always kind of like lacking that earth, and so you kind of have that now with the Vanquish Soul start. Like I like this a lot because again, it fixes a lot of stuff. The second effect is if they are going to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you reveal a Vanquish Soul monster in your hand instead. That's not once a turn, so like you just have like this blanket protection from destruction. Like obviously they can still be banished or sent, but destruction, you just have this blanket protection, which is very nice. And the fact that during the end phase, if you control 2 or more Vanquish Soul cards, which you probably will, you can just set the Snow Devil from the deck, so you don't have to worry about like searching it off of Mad Love. And that's it for the Vanquish Soul cards. I like 2 of the 3 of them. I think Holy Sue is a very good addition to the deck, being able to be used as an extension, and also on top of that kind of further help you like crack boards, because it is good for like going second. You can, you know, snatch steal one of your opponent's cards, but also if you have a Fire in the Dark in hand, you can also summon out another Vanquish Soul from the deck, so you can use this to like get Rosin on the board if you have like a Fire and a Dark like Ash and Mad Love or something in hand. I do like this. I like this a lot. Again, probably just a one of. Cannot see it going any further than that. The Xyz is lackluster in my opinion. I do think that Vanquish Soul heavily would have benefited from an Xyz monster, but I don't think this is the right track. I don't think this is the way to go for it. But I'm not the most familiar with like the actual playstyle of Vanquish Soul. I never got the chance to play it during its prime, so let me know in the comments below if maybe this card's better than I'm looking at it. But the field spell seems just absolutely insane. Like this really just fixes the problems that the deck was constantly facing. Next, we're going to be talking about the Nouvelles, and I'm really excited about this because Nouvelles was a deck that like I really enjoyed when Wild Survivors came out. It's a bad deck, don't get me wrong. It's a very bad deck because it's very reliant on having its ritual. It falls for the same trick that most ritual decks fall for, and Mitsurugi is probably the first ritual deck in a hot minute before, you know, after Necroz that really solved like a lot of the problems that ritual decks have. Nouvelle was not one of them. Nouvelle fell prey to a lot of the problems that ritual monsters have always faced, and it was ultimately the reason I ended up dropping the deck, because it had a lot of very bricky hands. The field spell is insane because the field spell essentially lets you draw 2 cards every turn and recur your resources, but it was a broken effect attached to a lackluster archetype. So I'm really hoping that these new cards fix the problem that the deck had, or at least enhance the scenario. To start, we're going to have Chef D Nouvelles. I'm probably not saying any of these cards correctly. I can't speak French. Butcher me in the comments all you want. But it is a level 3 Light Fiend Pendulum Effect monster. Okay. I don't even need to read the rest. That's a Light Fiend. So Nouvelle Fiendsmith. Sick, let's go. It's a Pendulum Scale 0, but the Pendulum effect is you can use the first and second effect of the Pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can add one Nouvelle's card from deck to hand, except a Pendulum monster. This is good because this helps you. This is another starter, essentially. The problem like Nouvelles always faced is that they always are like missing that one piece, because they have to run like all the recipe spells and traps because it's their ritual spells. Then they have to run all the ritual monsters, but they never have like the right one, and they never have the tribute fodder for it. So I do like this effect a lot because it can help you get like the missing piece that you don't have. In terms of Nouvelle monsters, the spells is a different story, but the second effect is if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, except during damage step, you can special summon this card. And I'm assuming this probably has an on-summon effect as well. The monster effect is you cannot activate the first second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect is a quick effect. You can target one effect monster on the field, increase its level up to 3. This is really good because this will allow the Nouvelles to be able to activate their effects in response, because all the Nouvelle monsters want to be targeted. And the downfall of the deck was always, if your opponent knows that you need to be targeted, they're not going to fall for that. So we always had to like have alternate methods, running like random cards in our deck to avoid being like, to avoid relying on our opponent to have to target us. So we'd run like Dynamondo so we could target ourselves, etc. So this is really good that we can kind of just proc it on our own. And on top of that, if it's in the Pendulum Zone and our opponent special summons, we can get this on the field. So we just lead it in the Pendulum Zone, we leave it there until our opponent's turn, and then we have a way to proc our own stuff. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, except during damage step, you can banish one recipe ritual spell from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Apply that card's activation effect that ritual summons a monster. Okay, so not only can we quick effect target our own stuff, but we can also quick effect ritual summon on our opponent's turn. I do like this because if we're left in a scenario where we can't like make a guy on our turn, or we are just like missing a piece, we can use this to quick effect ritual on our opponent's turn. But we're also, by targeting our own stuff, kind of quick effect ritual summoning, but it is what it is. And then the third effect is if this card on the field is tributed and added to the extra deck face up, you can place this card in the Pendulum Zone. So if you use its effect to ritual summon on your opponent's turn by copying the effect of a ritual monster that, or a ritual spell, then you can just, and you tribute it, then you can just put it back in the pen zone. So I like this. This also means that like you can just end on it in the main monster zone, and then you can put it in the Pendulum Zone on your opponent's turn when you use it as tribute fodder. And then still on your opponent's turn, if they special summon again, you can bring it back and then use its quick effect to like proc stuff. There's some really good combos with this. I like that it has like a pendulum ritual style thing, because like the deck's all ritual summon, but the other monster that came out in Duelist Nexus, I believe, had a ritual effect, or no, it was Agov, where they had a pendulum monster as well. I do like this. I don't know if this is going to be enough, but we'll see what the other two cards do. Next is Angry Burger. So I'm assuming before I even read this card, this is like a Hungry Burger retrain, because Hungry Burger's a vanilla, so probably a Hungry Burger retrain. This card is always treated as Hungry Burger. This is good. I like this a lot, because that means that Bale Grill can still summon this from the deck using his effect, which means that this comes out like for free, because it's a Hungry Burger even in the deck. So we don't have to run Hungry Burger anymore. Awesome. You can ritual summon this card with a recipe card. You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand, add a Nouvelle monster from deck to hand, and if you do shuffle this card into the deck, awesome. That means it's not a brick like Hungry Burger is. Second effect is monster your opponent control that can attack must attack this card. Okay, we're forcing our opponent to attack. And the third effect is quick effect. You contribute one attack position monster on either side of the field, and if you do special summon Hungry Burger with 2,000 attack from your hand or deck. Okay, that's okay. So this is like a bridge. So Bale Grill was essentially doing that third effect already to summon out Hungry Burger by tributing a monster and opponents on either side of the field. This is like you summon this off Bale Grill, and then you can use this to tribute another card in your opponent's field, summon another Hungry Burger, but also it's specials from hand, which means Hungry Burger is not like a full brick, but it never really was, because you could put it back with like the field spell. Honestly, I feel like they won't run Hungry Burger if they have this card, like maybe two of this card, honestly. Because the problem with Hungry Burger is it was essentially a brick. It was like a pseudo brick that could be put back and utilized. It could always have been just tributed for, you know, ritual fodder, but it was always like you saw it in your opening hand and you're like, great, I don't want this. What I really like about this is like this plus the Pendulum Monster applies the scenario where you actually have the ability to get all of these like pieces that you absolutely need for the deck. One, this is not a brick, so you can use this to acquire the Nouvelle monster to your hand that maybe you're trying to summon, because the level 1 is like the ultimate starter because it helps you get into the deck. And then the Pendulum can add any Nouvelle card, so it can add the field spell. So I do like this. I like this a lot. Again, I don't know, even though it has the ability to summon Hungry Burger, I don't know if I would play Hungry Burger, because it says with 2,000 attack, so you can't just summon out like another one of this off of its own effect, unfortunately, but that is how it is. And the last card, and I love this a lot, is Nouvelle's Recipe Book. This is a Nouvelle and a recipe card. This is so good, and it's a continuous spell. While you control a Nouvelles monster card, all face-up monsters your opponent control are changed to attack position. This is so good. This fixes so many problems the deck had. Each time a monster is tributed by a ritual monster's effect, your opponent pays 850 life points. Good. Make them pay for their meal. And the third effect is once per turn. If you special summon a ritual monster, except during the damage step, you can target one of them, add a recipe or a Nouvelles card from deck to hand, except a continuous spell, and if you do, increase that monster's level by 1. This is so good. This is so good for the deck. All three of these cards fix the problems that the deck had. The ultimate problems that the deck constantly had was that you were playing Brick Central. You're constantly, it's heavily reliant on all of its monsters because you were probably playing 2 of the level 1, at least 1 of the level 2, 2 of the level 3, maybe the level 4. That one was kind of cuttable. You were definitely playing 2 of the level 5, and you're playing 1 of Bale Grill, the level 6, plus Hungry Burger. Then you had to play your ritual spells. It was very much hard to play like 9 engine and stuff like that. And the main engine was like very bricky because you could just open like the wrong cards. This is so good as well because 2 of the biggest things that the deck had an issue with was that the Nouvelles monsters had to be targeted to activate their effects. Or sorry, the level 2 and the level 1 had to be targeted. Level 3 and 4, any card could have been targeted to proc its effect. But the level 2 and the level 1, the ones you want to start with, had to be targeted. So obviously your opponent's not going to fall for that. They're not going to, do that. But also they had to be able to tribute attack position monsters. Something that, you could tribute your own guys, but you would more rather tribute your opponent's guys. So your opponent would just summon stuff into defense mode so they didn't have to fall for it. And, I was toying with some stuff like Chaos Max Dragon to, punish my opponent for playing in defense mode, but nothing was ever like concrete. And I like this a lot because it's a Nouvelle card, so it can be searched off of like 1,000 different cards now. It can be searched off of the Pendulum. It can be searched off of, plenty of other cards in the deck. And in combination with the Angry Burger, if they're in attack mode, that means they can attack, and that forces them to attack Angry Burger. Because Angry Burger says any monster your opponent controls has to attack. This fixes a lot of the problems the deck has. I do think it's still going to be like a very bricky thing because the deck is very much centered around ritual summoning, and it needs the recipes, it needs the ritual monsters, it needs the tribute fodder. The deck was constantly playing like Diviner the Herald with like Intis and stuff. It doesn't need its extra deck as much, so you can play stuff like Diviner the Herald, Intis, and whatnot to be able to benefit from all of this. The issue I'm seeing immediately is, again, it's going to be very bricky because the deck does like its recipe cards, because not only are they the ritual spells, but you can also use the Pendulum monsters, the old one and this new one's effects, like Banish, to get bonus effects. So we'll have to see where this goes. And also, you're going to want to be able to, the end phase effect of the field spell, put a ritual and any card in the graveyard back into the deck to draw one. So you need your ritual spells as well. So we'll see how this goes. I'm glad I never sold my Nouvelle cards because it's something I'm going to want to toy with when Duelist Advance comes out. It's probably not going to make the deck tier 1 by any means, as much as us Nouvelle players would like to cope. This is good support, and it helps the deck in its already current strategy be able to successfully pull off that strategy. And I could see this deck being like a rogue tier strategy from that point on. But it's not going to be tier 1 by any means, as much as I hate to say it. Next is Lunalights. Again, I'm not very familiar with Lunalights. I just know that Tiger was, for the longest time, like banned or limited because it's not a once a turn and it's a very strong card. But I don't know what these cards do, I'll be honest. So we're just going to read their effects, and then I'll leave it up to you guys as the viewer to really decide if they're good. I mean, like, based on a outsider perspective, I'll judge if they're good or not, but I don't obviously know. So the first monster is Lunalight Gold Leo. It is a level 4 beast warrior, dark. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Lunalight monster from deck to hand, except Lunalight Gold Leo, then discard one card. Second effect is if a Lunalight monster is sent to your graveyard while this card is on the field, you can target one of them and add it to your hand. So I can see this being free because all you have to do is like normal summon this add a Lunalight monster from deck to hand, and then just discard the monster, like discard a different monster that you were trying to add, or just discard the monster you just added, put it back in your hand, so you never really lose a card, you never really discard a card. I also, if I vaguely know how the deck works, there are cards in the deck that do want to hit the graveyard, so I could see this being pretty good. So it's like you proc one effect and then chain 2, add this back to your, add that monster back to your hand, so you never truly lose the monster, you never lose the card advantage. I could see that being good. Level 3, Lunalights Silver Hound. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can special summon one Lunalight monster from deck except Silver Hound, and if you do, you cannot special summon from the extra deck while you control this face-up monster, except Lunalight monsters. Second effect is when a spell or trap or effect is activated on the field. Quick effect, you can banish this card and one Lunalight fusion monster from your graveyard and negate the activation. So we just have a main deck negate for spell and traps. Okay. I don't know if the Lunalight monsters like being banished per se, but having like that onboard presence and that protection for spell and trap negation is very strong. Stuff like negating imperm and whatnot. It's kind of like a 2-for-1 though, because you're banishing itself and a Lunalight fusion monster from the graveyard, which means the Lunalight has to be in the graveyard. I don't know how good that is, because again, I don't know if they want to be banished or not. That being said, if this card is like sent to the graveyard to fusion summon, you can just summon out another body on top of that, so it replaces itself. So that's not terrible. I do like that. And I imagine the lock isn't like the worst thing in the world, because the monster you're fusion summoning, as long as it's face up, you can only summon from the extra deck Lunalight monsters. If I'm correct, they don't have a link monster, so you would have to like fuse that current fusion away, or just like fuse really just whatever you summon out away. So I don't think that lock's like the end of the world by any means, because it's like a soft lock. Level 12, Lunalight Liger Dancer. That's a very large number on that card. 3,800 attack, 3,500 defense is huge, but its materials are a lot. So it needs Lunalight Leo Dancer, so the monster we just talked about, plus 3 Lunalight monsters. It's an expensive card, but it's kind of worth it. So must be fusion summoned with the above materials. Must be fusion summoned, meaning that you can't just cheat this out with other cards. First effect is unaffected by non-Lunalight cards effects. Second effect is it can make a second attack during each battle phase. And the third effect is once per turn quick effect, you can send one Lunalight monster from extra deck to the graveyard, destroy all your opponent's special summoned monsters. It's like that, is it? Okay. So this card is unaffected by everything that's not a Lunalight. So in the mirror match, this is fucked. But it can make 2 attacks with a massive 3,800 stat line, and it just can nuke the board of special summon monsters. Yeah, I mean, again, it's an expensive card. Like, you need Leo Dancer exactly, and you need 3 Lunalight monsters, but I imagine, if I understand how the deck has worked before, and it's a pendulum style deck, it has no issue doing that. Just spamming out bodies. Again, like, I know that Tiger is not a once a turn, and like you can use Zephyros or whatever that Blackwing was, like put it back in your hand and then reactivate it and do it again and stuff like that. Yeah, this is a strong card. This is a very strong card. This is definitely the boss monster, and the only way I can think of to out it is either a Kaiju, or somehow you get something bigger than 3,800 on the board. Are we summoning Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon? Is that what we're doing? Because that's what it looks like. I mean, evenly matched. You could technically evenly match because that's not affecting the card, but they could just keep this fucker on the board. It's not like that's the end of the world. It's still a huge motherfucker. Herald of the Abyss is like the only other card I could think of. Like, you just call a Dark Beast Warrior and then gotta send this. But if they have any other Dark Beast Warrior on the board, they just send that. So it's like, it's not like a sure way to get rid of this aside from like a Kaiju. Lunalight Masquerade, a continuous spell. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can send one Lunalight monster from deck to graveyard. So I'm getting the idea that the Lunalights like going to grave, and they probably all have like grave effects, which is why we're sending a lot of them to graveyard. We have the ability to just foolish burial everything. Second effect is if you fusion summon a Lunalight monster, you can add 1 polymerization from deck to hand or banishment. Then you can discard 1 card, and if you fusion summon a Lunalight monster, you can also use monsters in your graveyard by banishing them. Awesome. So we have the graveyard as a second resource. And we add poly, so we can just activate that poly that we just added from our graveyard or banishment to our hand, discard a card right after we add it, and then activate the poly and just use the materials in graveyard. So, like, we don't have to have the heavy toll resources that this fucker needed, like Lunalight Liger. We can just easily make because we have the Silver Hound in the graveyard and whatnot. So, well, we need Leo Dancer specifically, so we would have to use something else. But like, this is still fine. Like, this is still like this is really good. That second effect's pretty crazy. Then we have Lunalight Perfume Dancer. It only requires 2 Lunalight monsters. It's a little more generic, has no hard requirement. The thing I'm also, like, noticing that I just realized about the last fusion is that you can use, like, that fusion reinforcement where you reveal 1 fusion and then special summon from your extra deck 1 material listed on that, because I know Leo Dancer is a fusion monster. So, like, you go fusion reinforcement, reveal this, special summon Leo Dancer, and, like, yeah, Leo Dancer's effects are negated, but you can then use, like, polymerization, or if they have a fusion spell of their own, then you fuse into this. The continuous spell can, like, add the poly on top of that and then discard a card, and then you can use the Leo Dancer you just special summon off fusion reinforcement and then the monsters in grave to summon this. Then you have Leo Dancer in the graveyard, so that way you can use Silver Hound as an end board piece to, like, protect against spells and traps. Although I don't know what spell and trap is affecting this fucker specifically, but hey, to each their own. Anyways, back to this card. So you can only use the first and second and third effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect is if this card is fusion summoned, add 1 Lunalight Perfume from deck to hand. Second effect is you can target 1 other Lunalight card you control, return it to the hand / extra deck, then you can special summon 1 Lunalight monster from your hand. Third effect is you can banish this card from your graveyard. This turn, monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to their own original defense. So this does nothing to link monsters, obviously, but everybody else, like, this still hurts. Compared to the other 4 cards I have just read, this feels a little lackluster, but I don't know how good Lunalight Perfume is specifically. I know it just got reprinted in Stampedes, and I've never read the card, but yeah, I mean, I imagine this will probably get ran. I don't know much about the deck. My only understanding is what I have noticed in trends on these cards alone. So for the Lunalight players in the comments, feel free to enlighten me. All right, so yeah, these are all really good cards. I'm actually looking forward to Duelist Advance, even though we probably won't see it until closer to the end of the year, because between Alliance Insight and Duelist Advance, we probably have like another heavy reprint set. We probably have the Justice Hunters or whatever. Then we have you know, the Tins. Like, we've got a handful of stuff probably between now and the next core set of Duelist Advance. Justice Hunters might come out after this, who knows. But in terms of what will be good based on what has been shown here, I think that the Vanquish Soul cards are strong enough to bridge the deck into a scenario where it could be like high tier 2, tier 1 maybe, because Vanquish Soul has already been like a competent tech. Even now, it's still very competent. It just struggles with having all those attributes, but the field spell heavily fixes that problem. Nouvelles, again, as much as I would love to cope, I think this will probably be like a rogue tier deck still. I don't think this is going to have enough to be able to compete with what will be viable at that point. I imagine like Malice and Ryziel will still have a presence. We have like the Regenesis cards coming out in Alliance Insight, and that'll probably be littering everything. Hopefully by this time in the game's lifespan, Fiendsmith will be butchered in some scenario. I don't think, I mean, I could be surprised, but obviously we have Yummy and Dragontail coming out at close to probably the same time this will come out in the TCG, so they will kind of take over the format. Like, Dragon Tail's kind of like the dominating force right now in the OCG, so yeah. As for the Lunalights, I think those are really good cards, and if anything about the currently existing cards are competent enough, I could see Lunalight maybe being a tier 1 strategy. It really just depends. Like, just reading those new cards, like, those are good enough cards that I could see the deck being a very competent strategy. But I am, of course, curious on what you all think. So if you want to have an opportunity to win the Malice Core giveaway, then be sure to leave a like on this video, be subscribed to the channel, and answer the following 3 questions. Question number 1 is out of the 3 archetypes discussed in this video, which one do you think has the best support for the deck specifically? Not maybe the best support for it to be meta viable, but which one do you think improves the strategy the most for the deck it's for? Question number 2 is what was the reason that I dropped the Nouvelles deck? And question number 3 is what do you think? Do you think any of these decks will actually be a tiered strategy after the support for these decks drop? Other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya.